So this is going to be the web lands in the virtual and mixed realities. My name is Maximiliano, right? It's a long name. Max is okay. I'm Fert on Twitter. So I'm basically the one that is delaying you the party. So, okay, I'm the one between me and the party. And the idea is that I'm a web developer, okay? So I have been doing web development for a while now, so around 22 years, okay? So that's a long time. And I'm also been doing mobile apps, both from a website and also a native side. So I'm from Argentina. So I have been doing also trainings around the world on many countries and many companies. And I have also a couple of books, as you can see there, with a trick. So I have some books, original books I have authored, and then translations on languages that I don't really understand. Okay, Korean, Japanese, Russian. And the latest books are Programming the Mobile Web and High Performance Mobile Web from O'Reilly. So as you can see, I'm usually targeting mobile web as the main topic. So questions, yes, please, later. So we have an hour before the party. So so I will try to keep some minutes there for questions. So we're going to start talking about the new words. So for you to give an idea, I want to give you an idea of how these new words of new realities looks like, how the experience looks like from a web point of view. So we're going to see how the web is getting into these realities today, then APIs and specs that are currently available and are going to be available in the near future, what we can do today with some examples of frameworks and things that you can do, and finally the future. So what's coming in the near future. So based on the new realities that we have available now for the web. So basically the web has always lived in a box. So from this, so my first website, the first website I have browsed was basically in DOS. So it was something like that. So from that, from Mosaic, right, our friend IE, even on mobile browsers, it was always inside the box. Okay, so now it's time to get out of that box, and that's basically the idea of the new realities that we have. Okay, I'm not saying that everybody's going to browse the web using these new realities. It's just for specific use cases. Okay, we don't know exactly how many use cases we will have. We have an idea, but I mean, it's not like 50% of the browsing will happen in VR. I mean, the next few years at least. So it's time to free the web from that box. And that's the idea when we have new realities. They have a better fun than here. So that's another reality, by the way, it seems. So we have virtual reality. Probably you know that, so you know what that means, okay? Augmented reality and mixed reality that are kind of similar concepts, okay? Mixed reality has appeared in the last few months, probably years, 2 years, something like that. There is kind of a better augmented reality. So basically, the original augmented reality was, the original I'm talking about like 5 years ago on mobile apps mostly. It was just a layer of information on top of your reality. Okay, so where is the metro station? So you were using your phone, and it will showing you where is the metro station. It was just a layer on top of that. The idea with mixed reality is that virtual information will mix with the physics of your reality. So, for example, the holograms on the HoloLens are one example of that, right? So when the hologram knows where the chairs are, where the table is, so basically we can put things on top of that chair. So that's basically one of the differences between augmented reality and mixed reality. So, but probably you're thinking, hey, but we are web developers, at least I am. So, because sometimes when we're talking about VR, we're talking about 3D, Unity, right, native apps, and not about the web. So we have good news, and the good news is that these realities are coming to the web, and there is a reason for that. The reason, basically, is that I'm not sure how many of you are VR users or even HoloLens users, but basically if you want to install an app, or if you want to experience some VR solution, you need to install an app. Okay, that usually is between 200 megabytes and 2 gigabytes on your phone, on your HoloLens, on your Windows computer if you have an HTC device, Vive, or something like that. And sometimes it's one experience that you're going to use just once, right? Just something that the newspaper is offering you. I know, like see New York in VR. Okay, it's just one experience. I don't want to install an app for that. So I want to try the experience, and probably if I want to install the experience to get a better performance or something like that, I can do that with the web today. But that's why the web is going to be huge for VR and augmented reality. That's, of course, like on the web today, that's not the use case for every VR experience. Of course, if you have a very heavy 3D game, probably it's better a native app. So it's like the mobile web 10 years ago, even 15 years ago, right? Think about VR today as 10 years ago, the mobile web. It was kind of, it's not so interesting, right? The experience wasn't so good. We didn't have so many users, but now it's half of the users. Half of the users are browsing the web through mobile devices. So we are in that era right now in VR and AR. So, in fact, this is not really new on the web. Not sure if you have ever seen this. That's from the 90s, okay? So, VRML. It was some kind of an HTML for VR, okay? Of course, we didn't have any headset at the time, so VR was basically like Quake, right? You were using your cursor keys to walk in a VR environment, a 3D environment. But that was 20 years ago, okay? It looked like this, okay? So I remember a Yahoo version where every section of Yahoo, the index, when Yahoo were an index, I mean, you remember that Yahoo was, before a search engine, it was an index. So every section of that index was a door. So you open doors, you get into a room, okay? So that was like an old language, of course, that now we have a different technology. We have headset. And now I will get into that, because what happens if you don't have a headset. But anyway, let's start talking about technology for that. So before technologies, about the experiences. So because I'm not sure if all of you have ever experienced like web content on a VR or an AR device. So first we have flat web content. So every website that you have developed or designed so far can be browsed in VR mode. I will show you how it looks like, okay? Then we have completely 3D worlds, okay, around me. It's a completely new world. I can also share 360 animated or still content, like pictures. For example, if you use a camera like the camera I have here, okay, so I can take a 360 picture. Okay, there are different cameras available for doing this. So, and if you take that picture, probably you want to share that picture on a website. Right now, probably you have seen those pictures on Facebook. If you're a Facebook user, sometimes you see 360 content, video or photos. Well, what happens if you want to share that on your own website? Okay, well, that's one VR experience that you can offer to your users. And finally, we have augmented reality or mixed reality on the web. Okay, so we will get that at the end. So about distribution, so as I mentioned before, today most of these solutions are being distributed as apps, native apps that you need to download from stores. Okay, and as I mentioned before, that's not really useful on most of the cases, because of most of the cases you want to just experience that thing like a new car. You want to sit in that car and see how it looks like, and that's all, right? So you don't want to get apps for that. Then you have websites, for example, if you want to share 360 content, 360 video, it can be just inside a normal website, and now you can create progressive web apps. Okay, so a progressive web app quickly is just a website that can be like upgraded using progressive enhancement techniques and new APIs to like a native app. Okay, like a native app. So basically, it can be a website, but if the user wants to install that and have an offline experience, then the user can do that, right, using these new technologies. So, so again, why the web and progressive web apps are important for those experiences, or for these experiences? Because we can share something like videos, photos, or even if you want to share like a conference or something like that, as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, 3D models probably, and you can use all the APIs that you know as web developers to create those experiences that the user basically just need a device, and that's all. So in terms of, if you have never seen this before, let me explain first the human interface, so how the user is going to interface with your 360 or VR content. So we have gaze. With gaze, I'm not sure if you have ever played with the devices that are in the main room. So there are a couple of VR devices there. But if you try some, for example, even the HoloLens, you use gaze. Gaze is basically using your head to point to things. So you have a cursor on the screen, and then you're going to use just your head as the pointer. Okay, so that means gaze. That's one thing that you can do. And now we will get into the platforms that we have available on JavaScript. But basically, for example, on a mobile phone, then you have accelerometer and gyroscopes that will let you do that. So because that goes inside the headset, then you move your head and the phone is moving, then those sensors will give you the information. So that's gaze. But also you have the voice. Okay, we will get into the APIs that we have available today on the web to work with the voice, right? So I can express commands using the voice. Touch controls, for example, the GRVR has a touch panel here. So you can scroll, you can click right on the panel. You also have clickers, okay? And controllers. So here I have, for example, a clicker, right? Something like this. So usually they are Bluetooth based. It depends on the device. Controllers, like more complex controllers, okay, like joysticks and gamepads that you can use. And even your body when, for example, you're using devices like the HoloLens, okay, like when you click using just your fingers, okay. So, and the idea is that you will get that information in JavaScript somehow, okay. So the APIs that are appearing today will let you do that. And of course, you can even connect mouse and keyboard. You can say, okay, what's the idea here? Well, you can create a whole Visual Studio in VR mode. Okay, so you can connect a full keyboard and then have, I don't know, different simulators around you, like phones, tablets, right? And make a web app or an app directly in VR. And for that, probably you want to code, and for that, you need a real keyboard. So now a quick through every platform available for today, at least, that will support or is supporting today web VR. And first, we're talking about platforms that needs a phone. Okay, so the cheapest one is a cardboard, something like this. Okay, where in this case you put your phone inside. So this is like 20 euros, something like that, or even cheaper. And you put a phone, it can be iOS or it can be Android, and then you have like a very basic VR experience. Okay, so that's the cheapest solution. Of course, it's not the best experience in terms of frame rate, the whole experience that you have, but it works. Okay, and that's something that you can use today. Then we have the GRVR by Oculus and Samsung. It's that one that you need a Galaxy device inside. So basically, the Galaxy device is the engine, the screen, and also most of the sensors. For example, not the touch panel, but all the rest of the sensors are coming from the phone. So Daydream is a spec from the Android ecosystem to create headsets and create phones that work together. In this case, this is the Daydream View. That's like the first Daydream compatible headset, but it's not the only one. And this is the Pixel from Google. But now the Galaxy S8 will receive an update, and it will also work with Daydream. Okay, it's not there now, but it's coming. So from this year, probably next year, every high-end smartphone will be Daydream compatible, and that means that you can use that phone inside every compatible headset. And the headset also includes like the controller. The controller is basically to point and click. So then you don't need to gaze. You don't need to move your head to point to buttons or elements on the screen. And then we have desktop-based platforms, where instead of using a phone as the engine, as the heart of the platform, you're using a desktop computer. And there you have Oculus Rift, okay, that today is working only on Windows. And you need, like, for all of these solutions, you need really good hardware. PS4, VR, HTC Vive, and Windows Mixed Reality. So these are some kits that are coming, okay, from Acer, HP, and other platforms that will work with Windows, of course. And the idea is that in this case, not a HoloLens. So in this case, you will connect using a wire, okay, that thing. It's like an external display with some sensors. That's basically the idea. And then we have standalone platforms that today, in terms of big players, we have only the HoloLens. because with the HoloLens, it's completely wireless, so you don't need to connect or bind this to any computer. The computer is here. Okay, the battery, the computer, the display, the projection mode, everything is here. Okay, so it's a standalone solution. There is another solution that is coming. Google has announced that solution, but we don't have devices yet, also for the Daydream platform. So there are going to be standalone headsets as well, running Android. We don't have those yet today. Okay, so that's basically the whole panorama of VR and AR. So we have now seen the experience that we have for the web, the human interface possibilities, hardware available, and now we're going to get into web platform. And that's the web user experience. Because so far, we have been talking about hardware, but not about the web. So, okay, how it looks like, okay? So, for VR and the web, we have different browsers today that are compatible with VR or AR. We have Samsung Internet Browser. I'm not sure how many of you are Samsung users, but you have an icon called Internet. Well, that icon is basically the Samsung Internet Browser. It works with VR. Google Chrome. Okay, I will mention this later, but basically Google Chrome has two modes, VR modes. One is about the API that we will talk about later. It's called WebVR, that works on every Android phone, and with some, let's say for now, warnings. And then there is a new version coming of Chrome for VR. Okay, that's not the same as WebVR. Okay, but let's get into that later. Facebook is working on a browser as well, because Facebook realized that you don't want to install an app for every VR app or experience that you want to use. So that's why they're creating a browser, okay? That today is in preview mode. I will show you the example. It's called Caramel for now. That's the name. Edge is now compatible with VR, but only on the mixed reality kits, not on the HoloLens, yet at least. And then there are a couple of third-party browsers on every store that you can use to download and try. So let me show you some experiences. So instead of using live demos, I can use live demos because it will take time to get the Wi-Fi. I have some videos that I took today, okay, for every experience. So this is the Samsung Internet, so with this one, okay? So when you open the browser, the Samsung Internet browser, this is what you're going to see. So you move your head, okay, that's the idea. So you put this and you move your head. In this case, it's point and gaze. You can see a small cursor there going on. Okay, like that. You can type a URL, okay, and you can see it's like a curved screen around your VR world, okay. So you can scroll using the panel here. That's a normal 2D website. That's the NDC Oslo website, okay. But if I open a video, it goes like in a theater mode, like everything is now dark, okay. So and you can change the mode of that video. Okay, so because you can share 360 videos, 3D 360 videos as well. We'll get into that later, how to do this. So you can change the mode, okay, when you are watching a video. You can open more tabs if you want, and also there are a zoom version, so you can make a bigger screen. So you go to an IMAX now to look at the website, so a bigger cinema. In that case, probably you need to move your head to see the whole content. But that's how you browse the web, okay, on the Samsung Internet browser. The last thing I want to show you here is that around you have like a picture. In fact, it's animated. Okay, I'm sure if you saw there are some lights going on there. So from the menu, you can change that background that is known as the skyline. You can select the background, okay? So, and then you can browse the web with different 360 pictures or even animations. And what is more important, later I will show you, that now if you have a website, you can define your own sky image for your website. So when the user is getting into your own website, you can create the full immersive experience for that user. So you can pick that image. Okay, so the next example is the Caramel preview browser. So that's the Facebook one. Today, you cannot type a URL. So the only thing that you can experience are demos from Facebook. So it's just a quick demo there. So that's the browser. You can see that there is no URL bar. So that's a game, the JavaScript game, okay, that you can play. You can also see that it has the sky as well, and then it has a 3D model in the middle. That's usually WebGL, It's not mandatory, but it's usually WebGL what you're going to render here. And here you have some examples, okay, that you can run and try directly from here. This is all open source, so you can go and see all the code that you have there. So that's the button, a DOM button with JavaScript, and then you can click on that button and change the color of that thing. And you don't see that here, but you see perspective, you see 3D, because we have two different eyes, so the view for each eye, so that means that it's 3D. Okay, so you can also show 3D content, like in a 3D cinema. Then, this is the Chrome VR on Android. It's a preview. In fact, it's not working properly yet on the latest beta of Chrome. In fact, if you want to try it, you need to enable a flag, okay, inside Chrome. It's called Chrome VR. So I'm here in an Android phone, and I think it was in the Pixel, the same website, and I did this, so I'm looking at the website, and then I'm putting that phone here in the headset, okay? So it's asking me to close the headset to finish the experience. That's the idea. And when you do that, okay, you need to synchronize that with the controller. So that's how Daydream works. If you want to try that later, I can borrow this. So when you do this, then you are browsing that website in 360 mode, and that's Chrome. Okay, you can see that the sky is just white, so I think they need to change that. It has the URL bar at the bottom. Again, that's the 2D website, not the WebVR content, not the 3D 360 content. And you also have video. You can see that. I'm not sure if you see that line there. So that's my pointer. So I'm pointing with the pointer in the virtual environment. And this is plain JavaScript. Okay, so everything you can read the data of the pointer with JavaScript. So you can know exactly where I'm pointing you in the VR experience. Okay, so that's Chrome. Okay, so it's really experimental today. Then what happens on Safari? Safari doesn't have any VR mode yet. Apple doesn't have any VR. So in the latest WWDC, they have announced VR for the Mac. Okay, for the HTC Vive for now only, but not in Safari yet. Okay, so we don't have VR on Safari yet. So, but if you have something like this, the cardboard, okay, that's iOS, then you can look at that website. In this case, with my iPhone, I was doing something like this. Okay, just moving my iPhone. Probably you see that on Facebook, right, when you're seeing 360 content. I can get full screen, and also I can get VR mode. And in this case, it's asking me to put my phone inside the cardboard, and now you have a 3D also view. You can see the screen is split, and for each eye. And this is basically using an open source framework from Google. And finally, we have Edge on HoloLens. So I came early this morning, here to this room. So I shot a video with the HoloLens in this particular room. So you can see how the experience of browsing the web looks like on the HoloLens. Okay. So, so first, I'm opening the Start menu. Takes time sometimes when I'm recording the video, because using the CPU for the video sometimes takes time. So you can put Edge. It's the only browser available in the HoloLens, at least for now. So you can type a URL. Okay, come on. ndcoslo.com. And you can see that website is just hanging in the air. Okay, that's the idea of the HoloLens. And I can even look behind that website. Okay, in fact, it was around there. And you can open as many tabs as you want. You can scroll the website just using your fingers. But the idea is that website is now hanging like a frame inside your room. And you can walk around your room and put different websites on different parts of your room. Okay, so in this case, I'm opening Netflix. And then I'm getting Netflix out of that window to a new window. And then I can position that Netflix somewhere. In fact, you can even go to a new room and put that on a new room, like on the bathroom, probably. In the bathroom, so you have Netflix in the bathroom. And then the HoloLens remembers each room and what the windows that you have positioned on each room, okay? So that's how you experience the web, okay, when you're using the HoloLens. As you can see, it's still 2D content. Okay, so they're like frames hanging there. You can reposition everything. You can move this in the 3D space. Okay, so I can, and I can also resize this as much as you want. Even you can change the aspect ratio. I think I did that. Let me see. So, like there, yeah. You can make it like taller. So now it's a taller viewport, okay? Yeah, you can have every newspaper in your living room. So when you're having breakfast, you can have every newspaper around you, for example. I don't know if you want to do that, but anyway. And of course, you can open videos as well and many other things, okay? But for now, it's still 2D content, okay? So that's how browsing the web looks like. Again, you can see behind NDC Oslo. Nothing is there so far. Okay, so, and just for fun, I want to show you this if you have never seen this. Probably you have. But this is not the web now. I want to make the difference here, that you can make 3D holograms, okay, like there, okay, so those are 3D elements. That's the difference with the web today, okay? So I can put that there. I think it was like here. In fact, if I turn on my HoloLens now, if I wear the HoloLens now, it will remember everything that I have said before this morning, okay? Because it remembers the room. So that's how the web looks like from a HoloLens point of view. Now let's see what APIs do we have available, like to serve content for these devices or these experiences. And remember, these devices are just the mobile web 15 years ago. Okay, so we are just starting with this. So we're going to cover here WebVR, the Gamepad API, something around WebBluetooth, and other APIs that can help you creating these experiences or creating experiences that will work with these realities. So first, let's talk about WebVR. So WebVR will give you data about the current capabilities of a VR headset. So for example, not every headset is the same. So there are some headsets that, for example, the HoloLens, that will give you something known as room scale information. So the HoloLens knows about the room, the size of the room, the shapes that we have, the table, where the table is, okay, where the chairs are. Other devices like this are more simple. So it doesn't even have a pointer or a clicker or something. And we have devices with clickers, okay, like the Dream View. So the API, the JavaScript API, will give you that information. Okay, so that's the first part. Then it will give you the pose. That's the head-mounted display. So it will give you basically the coordinates of where you're looking at. Okay, that's the information that you will receive in JavaScript. And if it's available, also room scale data. So you will receive the 3D information about the current room, how the room looks like. Okay, and what elements do we have in the room? So then you can position elements, HTML elements, but most of the time WebGL elements, okay, in the room. And also you can request VR mode using this API. So you can have like a normal website, 2D website for a browser, a plain flat browser, and then a button saying start VR mode or something like that. And then with that API, it will request the user to plug the VR headset, okay, with the animation that you saw before. It depends on the platform. If you're using Windows and the HTC Vive, then you need to plug the headset. And it's usually prepared for working with WebGL. So WebGL is going to make the rendering, not WebVR. Okay, WebVR is just going to position the camera on that WebGL 3D world. So today we have a first draft, the 1.0. There is also a 1.1 that some browsers are supporting, so you can see it's kind of a mess. It's still experimental, this API. And we also have a draft of the next version of the API. Okay? This is the first version, not the 2.0. Okay? So just to give you an idea of what do you have available. For example, you have some events they are available for VR something. For example, when you connect the device, when you disconnect the device, we're talking about the headset, okay? When that device is activated or deactivated. On the new version of the API, instead of things going in window or navigator, there is a navigator.vr object with everything for this API. And then you can ask for VR displays to the navigator, and you will get an array of displays, usually only one. And then you get the information that you need, okay, from there. I already mentioned this. So the API today is available on Android from version 59. It's also available on Firefox in the developer edition version. Okay, so it's not in the final stable version. And on Edge from version 15, not on the HoloLens. And it's like a mystery of why it's not on the HoloLens yet. And also on the Samsung Internet Browser, that API. Okay, so for this device. That, by the way, there are, I think it's 2 million devices out there of this Samsung VR headset. And good news, partial good news, is that there is a polyfill available. And that polyfill will also give you the ability to use the API even on iOS. Why? Because it's emulating the API using accelerometer and gyroscope APIs. I'm saying that it's partially good news because the frame rate that you will get here, because it's not prepared for VR, it's not so good. So the experience when you're doing this with an iPhone is not good enough yet. It's okay for a small test, but it's not comparable with all the other headsets yet, okay? In fact, the idea is that for VR, we need higher frequency rate. So we need at least 120 frames per second to get a really good experience. So that means JavaScript performance is really important here. And also WebVR is available in that new Carmel developer preview browser from Facebook. In fact, it's the only thing that browser is supporting. Then we have the Gamepad API. And the Gamepad API will give you information about pointers, gamepads, and controllers, okay, on every of the devices that we have seen before. So it will give you information about gamepad and controllers. Basically, you can get an event when a gamepad is connected. Usually it's just a Bluetooth connection. And you will get information about the buttons, okay, and also if it has a joystick, you have information about the axis as well. This is available everywhere. Every browser, including Safari, supports the Gamepad API. Okay, mostly with Bluetooth joysticks and gamepads. So, but Google, with Chrome, went further. Because, for example, with this controller, you have here a touch panel. So I can scroll on that touch panel. And the original Gamepad API is not prepared for that. So that's why Google Chrome created an extension for touch and pose, okay, that is also available, that's also useful, for example, for the Oculus or the HTC Vive, where you have different controllers that are pointing to different places in 3D. So you will get all that information, but it's on Chrome only, that extension, under flag. So you need to enable a flag to get it work today at least. Okay, so that's coming. So you can see we are starting with this. And then we have Bluetooth, and you can say, well, why do you need Bluetooth? Bluetooth is not to connect with these devices. Bluetooth is more to talk to the environment. Okay, so if I'm walking with a HoloLens and there is a light or something, and when I talk or when I interact with a mixed reality with the reality, I want to turn on the lights or something like that, then we need WebBluetooth. And it will let you scan Bluetooth low energy devices around you, the services of every device, and you can connect to these services and send and receive data. This is kind of low level. I mean, you need to understand Bluetooth first, but it works, okay? So just a quick idea of the API. So you say Navigator Bluetooth. I want to look for a device using a filter. So in the filter, you're going to see what kind of device do you want to get. And you can use like generic constants available, or you can use like unique, if you have your own Bluetooth device, then you can use the unique ID that you have like inserted in that hardware. And then when you have that device, you connect to the device, you have a primary service, you get something called the characteristic, and then you listen for values coming from that device. And of course, so you can send values. So the API is not so complicated, But of course, you need to understand Bluetooth and how the device works. Unfortunately, that's available on Chrome only under Flag, and also you can make it work now with something called Origin Trial. Other APIs that will help you creating these experiences. Ambient Lighting API. The game I already mentioned Gamepad, but that's the new version. Speech, web audio. Let's start with Ambient Lighting API. This is pretty simple. It will give you information about current light conditions. Why do you need that? Because when you're using things like these, mixed reality devices, you need to know about the brightness of the room, because that will probably let you change the colors that you're using, because it's not the same if it's a dark room or a bright room. So it measures in luxes, and it's pretty simple. It's Add Event Listener device light, and it will give you information every time the light changes, the information changes. Okay, so it's a pretty simple API that is available on some browsers such as Chrome. Chrome is under Flag. In Edge, it was announced that it will come in the next version, and it's also in Firefox. Okay? Well, this is the same API that we have mentioned before, but it will let you connect with gamepads that are not probably coming from the same headset provider. So it can be any Bluetooth gamepad. Even it can be a PS4 gamepad, PS3 gamepad. You can connect those gamepads to a desktop computer, for example. Okay? So you can connect that. And that's available, the new version, on some browsers only. And now it's time to talk about speech. I'm not sure if you know this, but today the web can speak and can listen to the user. Okay? So it let us interact with the user. I'm not talking about VR here. I'm talking about the web, the normal web. But of course, in VR, it's useful with some challenges that we have. But it's really useful when we are doing this in VR mode. So speech synthesis will let the web speak, and recognition will let the web listen to the user. The API is simple. This is how you're going to speak. Okay? You create a new object. You set some properties, like the text, the language that you want to use, the pitch, the volume, and you say speak. Okay? So the challenge is that some browsers are working on that on VR, is that today some browsers will let your website speak only when the user interacts with the button or with something, not when the page loads, for example. And when you have a headset, right, then if you want to say something, you don't want the user to touch on the screen. So that's why they're working on changing the spec, so then you can use in VR mode, when you are in VR mode, you can use the API whenever you want. That's the idea. And for recognition, okay, this is how it works. You create also an object, some properties, and you have an event listener. And that's basically every time the browser thinks that it has some data for you, so some recognition of what the user is saying, then it will give you a result with the text and the percentage of confidence. So it will say, you know what, it seems that the user has said that. I'm 70% sure. Okay, and then you can do something about that in the VR world, for example. So the synthesis is available on Chrome, on Safari, even on iPhone, Opera. It's coming on Edge, and it's under Flag on Firefox. Recognition, it's Chrome only, unfortunately, today at least. Okay? And then we have web audio. Why do we need web audio for VR or AR experiences? First, to generate dynamic audio that will let us do two things. Ultrasound communication, I will give you a quick example in a minute, and 3D spatial audio. So when you are doing VR, and I have one of these headsets on, I'm wearing this headset, if inside the VR world someone is talking to me in this side, I should hear that it's coming from that side, right? So then, and if I move my head, if I point my head to there or there, the spatial audio will change, so I will recognize that the sound is coming from there, like a 3D audio, okay? So, for example, let me show you this. This API is for communication. It's like, instead of Bluetooth, you can communicate to devices using ultrasound. That's pretty cool. So there is an open source framework called SonicNet. So this is how it works. So you create a socket, It's not a TCP socket, it's a socket through audio, okay? You send data, and from the other side, you receive data, okay? So let me show you a video. This is a video from the developer, okay? So it's turning off the Wi-Fi, so you recognize that there is no connection. So you can see it from a phone. I'm not sure if there is like a quick sound there, but you can go ultrasonic. And now there is no sound. You don't need, please don't have dogs around you, probably. Okay. So in this case, it's not Bluetooth, it's not Wi-Fi. It's just sending information from one device to another device. That it can be, for example, the device that is inside a headset to a computer or to any other thing, the Raspberry Pi or wherever that you have there, that is sending information, okay, from the headset. So that's one use case. And the other use case is for example, spatial audio, and there is an open source framework for that called Omnitone that will let you mix this with VR, so then it will create a good experience for your users. And that's available also everywhere. Okay, so the Web Audio API is available everywhere, which is a good news. So, in terms of APIs, we have covered WebVR, WebBluetooth, how to connect to the physical devices around you, and some other APIs. Okay? So now let me show you what you can do today. First, you can serve content to VR headset. Of course, we have already mentioned that, but also to desktop and mobile browsers, even if the user doesn't have a headset. Probably you have seen this, that using ProRes enhancement, you can also create VR experiences for users without a VR headset. Okay, and that means that on desktop, you will use your mouse to drag around that. It's like a window in a VR world. And on mobile devices, you can use your fingers to move, or you can just do this. It's not the same experience, but probably you have seen this, for example, on 360 content on Facebook. If you have a headset, yeah, it's an immersive experience, but you can also offer VR, okay, to users without the VR headset. That are most of the users today. And for that, you're going to use the progressive enhancement approach. So the same code will work on both situations. Today, you can create flat content. That's just the normal website that you're creating today, but you can enhance sometimes that content so it can render better on VR mode. You can share 360 content, like the picture, for example, I'm going to take right now. You can create completely 3D experiences, like completely 3D world, Star Wars or wherever, right, that you can walk around. It's a completely 3D world. Or what happens with augmented reality? And there is a question there, okay, question mark. You will see why in a minute. So in terms of flat content, that's just a normal website. Okay, I demoed the NDC Oslo website on several devices. That's just a normal website that you can see inside a VR headset. So it's a 2D box inside a 3D environment. And as I mentioned before, on Samsung Internet Browser, you can define the skybox. The skybox is the 360 image or animation that is in the background. That's the sky, okay, of the 3D environment. And you do that with a very simple JavaScript API. Of course, that works only on the browser. Okay, you just define the URL of the image. It can be in a sphere mode, and there are also other versions of the image. You can have several images for like a box around you, like a cube around you. So, but it's pretty simple, and then you can start enhancing your website for VR users. So inside the game, every time the user is doing something, then you can change the image that the user is seeing as the sky. So, and we're expecting this for other browsers as well. Now Chrome should probably do something like that because Chrome will have the same Chrome VR mode. And right now it's white, so it doesn't look nice, okay? So probably we have, I don't know if it will be a meta tag, a JavaScript API, like the Samsung one, to change the skybox. For 360 content, as I mentioned before, you can use device orientation. That's the JavaScript API that has been for a while, probably 6 years. Or just touch and mouse to move around 360 content, like images that you have there, okay? Anyway, you're probably going to use a framework. You're not going to just write the code yourself. You can, of course. And you have mono or stereo images. The idea here is that mono is just the image that you are taking with your normal camera or even your phone camera. And stereo means that you are taking two pictures, one per eye, and that will create a 3D experience. Okay? There are more expensive cameras that are doing this. For using this today, there are a couple of free and open source solutions. The first one is VR View from Google. They have two versions, a JavaScript version and an iframe version. So the iframe is easier. It's just an iframe like that. You define the URL of your image, and if it's mono or not, and that's all. And that iframe will have VR support with the mouse, with the phone, moving your phone, or with WebVR if you have a headset. It will create the full experience for you. Okay? So if you have 360 content, you can start sharing that content in your website using that framework. So this is how it looks like. So when you get there, you see that image, okay? And this is using this device, okay? So then it will split the screen automatically for this device. There is also a visor editor available. That's the URL where you can create this experience yourself. It's like a VR editor where you can create 360 experiences. If you're sharing video, so if you have 360 video, the Samsung Internet Browser has some specific types that you can add. I'm talking about that thing, okay? That you can add to your video tag, the normal HTML5 video tag, but you can specify that this is a 360 content. So then, instead of looking at like a cinema, the video will appear around you in immersive mode, okay? There are a couple of dimensions that you can set. Okay, it can be 3D or not, and there are different like formats here to store the file, the actual video file, side by side, top to bottom. Well, it depends on the camera that you're using. It will give you the video in some format, and then you define the dimension inside the source of the video tag. And that's today compatible with Samsung Internet Browser. We will see what happens with Chrome. To capture 360 content, you can use these cameras, okay? Or even you can use the Carver Camera app that is available on Android and iOS, so on Google Play Store and App Store. It's free from Google, that will create that image for you. It's for images, not for video, this. And then there is a tool. I will share the slides anyway with all the URLs. There is a tool that will give you the final file that then you are going to host in your web server. Okay? In this case, you will like take different pictures with that app to create like a panorama or a 360 image that you can share on the web. And then you can, if you know 3D and WebGL, you can create WebGL experiences, okay? But if you are not in the 3D space, that's like a huge deal, I mean, for normal web developers, because it's a completely new world, WebGL. It's like an OpenGL implementation in JavaScript. In fact, it doesn't look like JavaScript. It looks like C++. So fortunately for us, we have one excellent framework and one that is coming. The first one is A-Frame. This is coming from the Mozilla team. It's really great, it's simple to use, and it will create a VR for a normal mode. So, for example, with the finger, with the mouse, or with the accelerometer, and also with WebVR with all the compatible headsets. It will do that for you. And it works with something like this. It works with web components. So you create an A scene, an A sphere with A sky, and it will create the VR experience for you, okay, automatically. There are a lot of examples on the website that you can try. Even there is an online editor that you can type, you can change things, and see that in action. That's pretty cool. It's one of the best frameworks out there to create VR content today for the web. And it looks like this. And you can see that's the example, the basic example. That icon, if you click there, it will request VR mode with a headset. If you have any of these headsets, that it will do the work for you to use the WebVR API or to polyfill that API if it's an iPhone without it, for example. It will do all the work for you. Also, 3GS has VR support. That's a 3D library. It's common on 3D games on the web. And now Facebook is working, it's still in developer preview, it's working on React VR. Okay, there is a version of React for VR. Okay, I didn't paste the quick demo because it's like 20 lines, but because that's React. But it's the same thing as React, but specifically targeting VR components. Okay, it's open source, and it's basically all the examples that are available for the Carmel browser are basically React VR examples. So today the idea is that you're going to use progressive enhancement techniques to offer VR experiences to all your users, even users without a VR headset. For that, you can still share in your flat 2D content, and you can enhance that content, for example, with the skybox information, and that will probably be news on that during the rest of the year. I mean, things to do on Chrome, for example. You can share 360 content, and you can create completely 3D VR world, for example, using A-Frame. Okay? So that's everything that we can do today. But there is something more. The last thing I have for you is that, okay, what's the near future for this? On the web and VR and AR. First, it's augmented and mixed realities. And the first thing I want to show you is the camera as a platform. I'm not sure if you have seen this, but this year, Facebook, Apple, and Google, the three companies in their developer events, they mentioned this idea of using the camera as a platform for AI, for machine learning, and several things. Okay, for effects on Facebook or for recognized objects, for example, on Google. Also, even with Google, the Google Glass didn't work. I'm pretty sure that it will appear one time. LaForge is a company that is creating like nice glasses like those that are going to, it's like the Google Glass well done. And there are a lot of companies working on that. So the concept will appear again, where you have a camera on top of you. Okay, also the car. And for that, we have some APIs. Some APIs that are available today and some APIs that are coming. So let's get into that. First, a well-known Get User Media API that will open the camera. Okay, so this is the latest version of the spec. But you request user media, and then you can basically render that on a video tag. And that's working today, well, in a couple of months, everywhere. Because iOS 11 and Safari 11 will support Get User Media for the first time. So that means that you can, in your website, you can open the camera and render the camera on the screen. The question is, yeah, you want to add layers on top of that. If it's a 2D layer, it's easy. The problem is if you're going to, I mean, if I want to see your Twitter accounts on top of your faces, that's a challenge when I'm moving my camera, okay? Well, for that, there is an API that you can try today. It's called the Shape Detection API. And today the API supports three kinds of detections. Face detection, and that detection will be done by the browser. And the browser can rely on the hardware, the CPU, the GPU, or a machine learning solution, or in the near future probably a machine learning CPU, like a TPU, like Google now CPU. So probably there are going to be devices with TPUs inside that will give you that information. So you can detect faces. Okay, it will give you an array of faces on an image, and that image can be a JPEG, or it can be an image that is streaming from the camera. And it will give an array of faces. And each face will have the box, and that's X, Y, width, and height of the face, and also landmarks. What's a landmark inside the face? Eyes, mouth, nose. It will give you coordinates of that. For example, if you want to put something on top or around, okay, to make effects. Also, you have text detection. So you can create a text detector, and will give you blocks of text that are detected with the box, and also the raw value. So that's OCR on the fly, using the camera. And finally, you have barcode detector, okay? That will also give you the raw value. And I'm not sure if you want the box there, but probably you want the value on a QR code or a 2D barcode. And this is available today in Google Chrome under flag from Chrome 57, I think. So if you have Chrome on Android, you can try this, right? You need to enable the flag. It's experimental web features, and then you can try the API. Okay, so it's pretty cool. Of course, you have some JavaScript algorithms to do that, but they use a lot of battery because there are a lot of bitmap manipulation. But this is like more optimized. That's the idea. So that's one part. But Google is going even forward, and it has announced the last Google I/O a WebAR, Web Augmented Reality API proposal that works on top of WebVR, and it will give you information about spatial search. So, for example, for the HoloLens has enough cameras and sensors to recognize the space around me, the distances, and also 3D objects that we have in the room. Well, we will get that information in JavaScript. And today, if you want to try this, there is an experimental APK, so an Android package, experimental compilation of Chrome. In fact, it's not really Chrome. That works only on Tango devices. There are 3 devices out there supporting something, a technology from Google known as Tango, that is like a similar technology that the HoloLens has, but on Android. That special cameras and sensors that will recognize things around you. And here I have a quick video of one app that it's there, okay, that, for example, you can use to try furniture in your home. So you can see it's recognizing the floor in 3D, and you can put, using like just your phone, you can put something there, like in the HoloLens, okay, but in this case using just JavaScript. Okay, so that will be WebAR. It's still in very early stages, but it will let us do these kind of things on the web. So for the HoloLens and possible future devices, we're still in early stages, for the web at least. So to create experiences today, everything is native. Okay? So if you want to create things like this, 3D content for the HoloLens, for example, you cannot do that. This is just native, right? So that's the HoloLens, but it's not working on the web today. So there is no web access today, unfortunately today, so I think we need to work. There is something called Holo.js, if you want to look at it. It's a framework, it's an official framework from Microsoft, but to create universal Windows apps, so native apps, using JavaScript, so not for the browser. Okay? And it's also using WebGL. Let me show you quickly this. This is for the VR devices. So it's a place where you can write JavaScript code, and when you execute that code will create 3D content in your VR space. So this is just to give you an idea of what we can see in the future. So we can write code and see those elements appearing in 3D around us. So I think that's pretty cool. So the last thing I have in the last 2 minutes is about new challenges. Okay? So for example, what does pixel mean? So for example, bitmaps. If I have like that's a hotel hall. So if I have a website like far away, what a pixel means? So because I can get really far, really near, really close to that element. So if I render 10 pixels, what does that mean? 10 pixels, okay? So we need to redefine bitmaps like this, like in a 3D game. If something is really far away, I don't want to load the full image because I'm not seeing that image. So I will load a very small version of that. That's usually called bitmaps. So we can create responsive images based on distance, of the user distance. Okay? There is a format that is called FLIF. It's a new image format that will support these kind of things. So this is just ideas. It's not really a spec. But something like that, you can have media queries on the distance. Okay? Like far away, or even if the user is looking to a different angle, you can change something with JavaScript. So these are new challenges that we have. Okay, we will have. Okay, even infinite viewports. If I increase a virtual window, what do I want? Meaning that if I have a website and I'm creating like I'm doing this, do I want a longer website, or I want to zoom in? Or if I'm resizing the window, what do I want if I'm resizing the window? Do I want to get a different layout, like a mobile layout? If I'm doing really small do I want a mobile layout, the same layout but smaller? So I don't know, right? What do we want? Probably we need to define this, what will happen when you're doing this. So For the future, we will get into augmented reality. We'll have new APIs like WebVR and more devices coming. So we have covered new realities, how the experience looks like today from a web point of view, the APIs available, what we can do today, and the future. Okay? So I think we are talking about exciting times for the web coming, okay, but we are still in early stages, so everything's probably going to change. So keep in mind that. So that's all. Any questions?